A rain-beaten messenger steps from the Yukon dark with a sealed envelope. Inside lies brittle parchment that smells of old tobacco and damp timber. Faded ink marks out a crooked river bend. Triangles, spirals, and arrows march along the edges like a code from another age. The legend says those marks point to a sealed door under frozen ground. On the other side waits a chamber stacked with gold bars, an oilskin ledger, and tokens stamped with secret signs. Some tellings add a single skeleton against a wall, hands locked around a tool as if guard duty never ended. The number attached to the find grows with each retelling. Hundreds of millions in metal. A decision to seal the room again to prevent chaos. Screens light up. Comments multiply. The claim moves through feeds like a spark in dry grass. The scene lands because it feels right for the Klondike. Old camps, long winters, ground that holds the past like a vault. A courier in rain could appear at any door on any bad weather night. A hand-sketched map could surface from a trunk in a shed behind a cabin that leans under snow. Symbols from fraternal halls did circulate in boomtowns. Miners did count in paces from a curve in a creek. All of that reads as possible. Then the story pushes farther. A chamber that swallows gold and men. Stacked bars, sealed papers stamped with wax. An iron cross hidden under coins. A decision heavy enough to split a crew. The mind pictures the lamp beam sliding across black beams and sagging shelves and cannot look away. Curiosity does the rest. A legend with texture deserves a simple test. Not a wall of jargon, not a gate that only experts can open. A clean walk through the beats that matter. Where the rumor begins, what Yukon ground can hold, how a real discovery behaves, what proof leaves behind when machines stop and paperwork starts. Each step adds clarity without draining wonder. The mystery can stay. The fog can lift. The Klondike will still feel like the edge of the map. The next part turns to the parchment itself, because every story set in cold ground begins with a line on paper. The legend opens with a single sheet. The surface is stained from smoke and damp. A bend in a river sits at the center. The outline matches a familiar reach of water known to crews that work heavy iron each season. Along the margin sit small shapes, triangles that could mark ridges, spirals that could mark pools, arrows that could track headings. A short note counts paces from the bend. The details are plain and strong. Early miners drew quick sketches and carried them in pockets. Maps in pencil lived in notebooks, blackened by camp smoke. Claim markers nailed to trees faded and fell. A raven-shaped rock could serve as a signpost for anyone walking the same ground decades later. A map like this asks for one thing above all: a past. A past does not mean a long legend. A past means names, dates, and a path from one set of hands to another. A past means a simple line that explains where the sheet stayed during the years when no one was looking. A past often means images taken the day the page surfaced, with corners, edges, and scale in view. Simple comparisons follow. A known notebook from a known miner. A habit in the way numbers are written. A blot in the same place across different pages. If the ink and fiber fall into the right range for the time, trust rises. If the sheet arrives with no trail at all, trust remains low, no matter how good the story sounds under lamplight. The symbols ask for their own check. Fraternal marks did travel with people during the rush. Lodges met in halls above shops and in rooms warmed by potbelly stoves. But marks alone cannot prove a route to treasure. Rivers move their banks. Frost heave-shifts boulders. Slides erase slopes. A symbol that matched a ridge in 1900 can point to air in 2025. A sketch can start a hunt. A sketch without history stays a sketch. The legend keeps moving anyway. The next beat drops steel into soil and listens for the ground to talk back. A hollow sound is the cue. A drill crew stands over marked ground at first light. Steel spins. Cuttings climb. Cylinders of earth rise slick and cold. The cores show bands of gravel and clay. Then, unexpected lines of wood. The fibers look shaped by hand, not water. Flakes of gold flash larger than the dust that usually rides in slurry. Then the instruments change tone. Vibration shifts. The report says a pocket below the bit. A space where dense ground should be. In the Klondike, such signals can be real. Drift tunnels and stopes from early work run under hills like veins. Some collapsed and sealed. Some froze intact under layers of winter. Permafrost can preserve timber as if months have passed, not lifetimes. The moment calls for slow steps. Air checks measure oxygen and invisible hazards. A perimeter sets boundaries. Support crews add strength where ground could part without warning. Calls go out to the offices that oversee heritage and safety. Notes begin to stack in logbooks and tablets. Times, names, depths, readings. In modern work, these steps are not optional. They keep people alive. They protect history if history waits below. A hollow does not prove a hall. A pocket can be narrow and still sound like a room. A short side drift can throw a strong echo. Timbers might mark a storage cubby or a shaft collar rather than a chamber. Every clue needs context. Hand-hewn wood means human hands once shaped a space. Large flakes mean someone concentrated material nearby. Neither clue alone guarantees a vault. The legend does not linger in a cautious middle. It breaks the seal and steps through. Air rushes like an uncoiled spring. The lamp finds bright edges in the dark. That picture carries the rumor to a wider crowd and pushes the story to its most dramatic claim. The opening widens. Air moves across faces and disappears into night. The beam pushes into shadow and hits yellow flash on stacked metal. The walls look lined with bars arranged like bricks. Shelves bow under weight. Leather bags rot in place, spilling heavy nuggets across dust the color of ash. A ledger wrapped in oilskin sits on a plank table. Pages thick and dark from age. Numbers tracked in columns that turn into astonishing totals when matched against modern prices. A rusted strongbox hides papers, sealed in wax, and marked with symbols from private orders that once met behind closed doors. A heavy cross lives under a pile of coins, dark as iron left in weather for a century. In the far corner, bones lean against a wall, a tool gripped by both hands like a task never released. The images land because they are precise. Sag in the wood, smoke stains on beams, the feel of old leather that cracks at a touch. Carved initials and a date pressed into a timber with a pocket knife. Anyone who has walked a museum case can see these details in mind. Small finds like cups, boot soles, and stamped pick heads emerge from old sites often enough to be expected. Permafrost can fix a moment in place so cleanly that it hurts to look. What shifts the story from plausible to extraordinary is the scale. Bars from floor to ceiling imply a logistics chain that would outlive the men who set it up. That chain would leave ledgers in more than one place, rumors in more than one town, and interest from more than one institution the moment a beam of light hit the stacks. Scale forces structure. Security plans grow from minutes to weeks. Heritage staff arrive with forms and cases. Museum people ask for access and offer controlled storage. Insurers want count, mass, and photographs that can survive a courtroom. Even secrecy leaves marks. Contracts, delivery slips, scan logs, schedules, custody chains. In modern life, enormous finds cannot remain only a campfire tale. Records follow mass the way shadow follows form. The legend pulls the camera back from the shelves and shifts to fallout. Machines fail. Leaks spread. Pressure builds. The ground is not the only force that can crack a season. The story turns. Engines that ran clean take on strange heat. A generator coughs hard under a light load. A line arcs where no arc should live. A belt throws itself from a pulley and splits. Sleep thins and jitters ride the edge of thought. Whisper spreads into Dawson streets. Rival crews push closer to a boundary line. Corporate scouts fly in with polite smiles and questions that run too deep for casual conversation. Heritage voices talk about preservation. Ownership voices talk about rights. Security voices talk about risk and chain. Estimates balloon across tables until the number attached to the chamber passes 500 million and keeps climbing. Real pressure works in simpler ways and can feel even heavier. A stretched maintenance cycle returns to collect the bill when the season hits its worst week. Fuel quality dips when a batch ages too long in hard cold. Operators push a little faster and miss a small noise that turns into a large repair. Each lost hour burns cash at a rate that turns stomachs. Add rumor and progress slows again. Visitors demand time. Calls pull attention away from the cut. Schedules slip while the window of good weather shrinks. Anyone who manages a working spread knows the feeling in the bones. Compliance adds a second weight. Old structures in the ground are not just holes to fill. Documentation protects context. Without context, artifacts turn into loose objects with no story. Rules ask for measured excavation, stable storage, and trained eyes to record objects where they sit before anything moves. Plans must include how to seal a void safely if the site will not support long work. All of that costs time, and time is the one resource that cannot be refueled. The legend solves the equation with a clean decision. The chamber closes again. The choice fits a dramatic arc, but raises a new question that real life would answer with files and signatures. Closure on that scale leaves a trail thicker than tracks in spring thaw. A path for judgment now arrives in the simplest form possible. 5 signals that any large claim should trigger without being asked. Big claims leave 5 simple signals that can be checked in minutes and verified in days. Each signal is plain. No special access required. Signal 1 is primary record. Dates, names, and actions appear in emails, letters, and filings. Entries line up with operating seasons, permit calendars, and known weather events. Real notes point to real people who can answer clear questions later. Signal 2 is site control. Safety logs show gas readings, support decisions, and boundaries. Incident reports explain who entered the space and why. When a void opens under frozen ground, paperwork follows because safety is law and habit. Signal 3 is independent expertise. Archaeologists, geologists, and conservators identify themselves and describe methods in everyday words. Titles and resumes can be checked. Statements exist that do not rely on anonymous certainty. Signal 4 is chain of custody. Tags, bags, barcodes, or catalog lines track objects from hole to shelf. Transfers list senders and receivers. Intake forms name storage locations. Museums and courts expect this trail and refuse objects without it. Signal 5 is consistent media. Photos include wide frames for context, not only close shots of shiny material. Video returns to the same angles on different days. Original files carry metadata that survives basic inspection. Schedules and light match the operating day. One missing signal can happen in early hours. Several missing after weeks turns a claim into a camp story. A room of bars cannot move in silence. Weight produces noise. Noise becomes record. Records invite questions. Questions produce more record. That loop defines genuine discovery. The next section turns from tests back to place, because the land itself explains why legends arrive as often as ravens and why they stay for so long after snow covers tracks. The Klondike grew on hope and rumor as much as on gravel and water. Winters stretched like a held breath. Nights came early and stayed. Camps needed stories to carry people from one thaw to the next. A partner vanished after whispering about a pocket in a side creek. A crate of bank metal never arrived at the post. A private drift waited under a bluff for a crew that did not survive the cold. Tales like these were not lies to the people who told them. They were maps through the dark parts of a year. Modern tools changed the surface of the hunt. Satellites map land. Drones skim ridges at dawn. Pumps and plants run at scales that would shock the first rush. One element did not change. The hunch that something enormous could still sit a shovel deeper remains. Social feeds multiply that hunch. Thumbnails flash bright metal. Titles promise secret history the world forgot. Paragraphs echo across multiple channels until repetition sounds like truth. The sealed chamber legend could not have asked for better ground. Calling every tale empty would miss the point. The earth does return real fragments with human weight. A spoon with a name scratched into the bowl can pull a listener through a century in a breath. A ledger line can speak louder than a stack of ore because the line carries a person's hand across time. A saw mark in a timber can feel like a handshake. Small pieces make history feel close enough to touch. The sealed chamber legend also carries a deeper human wish. Work should build more than profit. Family should carry more than a last name. A life should connect to something older and wider than one season. A hidden room serves that wish in a single image. A door in the ground opens, and past and present walk into the same light. Even without hard proof, the picture holds. Curiosity deserves room. Standards deserve a seat next to it. Both can ride in the same sled. The story now returns to practice and outcome. How real mining delivers drama without a vault, and how a clear takeaway can keep wonder alive while guarding against easy mistakes. Modern Klondike work delivers a full story without a secret door. Tight calendars drive long days. Weather forces crew chiefs to roll dice on every startup. Iron fails hard when a missed vibration grows into a broken shaft. Pay streaks thin unexpectedly and demand fast pivots to fresh cuts. Permits shape each move across a claim. Safety checks turn into habit that saves lives on dull days and dangerous ones. Budgets breathe with ounces, poured and burn when a week slides sideways. That is more than enough tension for any season, any series, any audience. The sealed chamber legend still serves a clear purpose. It teaches how to guard curiosity with simple tools. A map needs a past. A site needs logs. A claim needs independent eyes. Objects need a custody trail. Images need context. When those pieces line up, history stands in daylight without flinching. When those pieces never appear, a tale stays a tale. The story can still inspire research, reading, and careful walks across old ground. It can send Send attention toward museums that protect fragile things from the rush of weather and time. If a chamber on the scale described ever becomes fact, the 5 signals will arrive in a rush. Records will stack. Site control will expand. Outside experts will publish methods and numbers. Custody lines will lengthen across pages. Images will settle arguments instead of starting them. Institutions will move. Headlines will follow. Silence will not hold. That is how weight behaves in the modern world. Until then, the legend can live where legends belong. Beside the stove in winter, in the space between work shifts, in the pause before a drill drops into gravel that has not seen light in an age. Curiosity can stay sharp without turning gullible. Standards can stay firm without turning cold. The Klondike will keep secrets under frozen bends and in old tailings where no one expected much. Some secrets will be small and human. A few might be large enough to bend news for a season. Whatever rises next, proof will give it bones. Subscribing to Gold Era 2.0 ensures new deep dive episodes on rush history, modern mining, and myth versus evidence breakdowns are not missed. Fresh releases arrive on a steady cadence. Comments shape future topics. The hunt for clear signals continues across stories that deserve a second look and sites that deserve careful hands. The ground will speak in its own time. The record will follow. The work will go on.